because I'm going to be made homeless next week. I explained he wasn't going to be made homeless next week, but he still wants to know if he can sleep in his car. It cannot be right that we're allowing people to think about sleeping in their cars.
And we heard last night from listeners worried and in tears because there's been a build-up for months of anxiety as they dreaded this day coming. And they worry about one of the fundamental things in life, the roof over their head. And the money has dried up. And as you suggested, all sorts of personal circumstances. We have from a bereaved man who lost his wife. So there's a lot of pain and anxiety out there caused by COVID and being exacerbated by this completely understandable fear about what happens as a result of the expected change next week, which is why Russell is here. If you have a question, you want to tell us what's happening with you, this is the place to be. 0345 6060 973. With these changes looming in England, if you're worried about your own position, give us a call. Russell's here for the hour. You can text 84850, tweet at LBC and call 0345 6060 973. The news now at 6:16. Here's Bill Overton.
Arriving in the UK from Croatia, Austria and Trinidad and Tobago from Saturday will mean quarantining for 2 weeks. Scotland's recorded its highest increase in daily COVID cases in almost 3 months. The brother of the Manchester Arena bombers sentenced to at least 55 years behind bars. The weather, wind and rain moving from the west into Scotland and the north of England tonight. Gale force winds in the west, clearer skies in the south, a low of 12 degrees.
LBC Travel, I'm Katie Tyler on the M25. It's crawling anti-clockwise from junction 2 for the A2 towards the Dartford Tunnel because of a breakdown. It's struggling on the North Circular Road, that's westbound from the Kennycall interchange towards the Great Cambridge interchange because of a breakdown too. And it's still start on Victoria Embankment and down Thames Street eastbound from Temple Station towards Tower Hill. That's not helped by a breakdown earlier on this afternoon. On the trains, the overground has no service between Hackney Downs and Chingford.
This is LBC.
To the great business names of the UK, like Yola, as a hand in our business, lend as a hand. A great name deserves a great van, and to have that name write large upon it, free of charge. Plus 4 years free routine servicing. Now that name is very hard. We've got your business with a brand new Peugeot van in the Peugeot Summerland event. T's and C's and vehicle restrictions apply. Visit Peugeot.co.uk for full details. So rating up to the value of £200. Routine servicing of up to 4 years and 70,000 miles, whichever occurs first.
Call the Ready Man 0345 6060 973 LBC.
The Bosch summer sale is now on at Euronics with a great range including refrigeration and washing machines and a 5-year warranty on selected models too. Euronics is the home of electricals where you'll find great brands, great local service and always great value. And right now, great deals with Bosch. So with over 600 local stores safely welcoming you back, why not come in and take a look at what's on offer? To find your local store or shop online, visit us at euronics.co.uk. Subject to availability, see website for full T's and C's.
Hi, I'm Andy Byford, the new Commissioner of Transport for London. We're getting London moving again, with good service levels on tubes, buses and trains. But we do ask that you please travel outside the busier times, if you can, to help with social distancing. We're doing all we can to keep things safe, clean and organised. After all, we're here for all Londoners. To find out more, search TfL Restart Plan. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters.
Normally, I'd be recording this in a fancy sound studio with a mocha frogger skinny latte. Instead, I'm in my bathroom. Privileging means I can wander around my house reading this script, and people can take a wander around yours with Purple Bricks virtual viewings, or they can safely view it in person if you prefer.
Do you want a cup of tea, love?
Can I get a mocha frogger skinny latte? Tea's fine, thank you. Book your free valuation with Purple Bricks.
Fixed fee payable on instruction or after 10 months. Viewing service cost extra.
Jay should be out here right now, listening to Mother Nature. Instead, he's at home, waiting for someone to fix his Wi-Fi, listening to his vacuum cleaner. Why, Jay? Why search for the greatest nature trails but not the right broadband provider? Well, search no more, my friend. Only BT has home tech experts you can book in 2-hour time slots, 7 days a week. Why choose anyone else? BT. Beyond limits.
Book in-home Wi-Fi repair appointments in 2-hour slots, terms apply.
We've got it at Selco. Selco is where the train goes.
This month at Selco Builders Warehouse, we've got a wide range
4'6" by 2'6" internal flush plywood fire door for just £29.99 each ex-VAT. Now that's a real deal. Find even more real deals at Selco Builders Warehouse and online at selcovw.com. 28 branches across Greater London. Visit selcovw.com for your nearest branch.
We got it at Selco. Selco, it's where the trade goes.
That charged at 20%. This is LBC with Eddie Mayer. Call 0345 6060 973.
The rules banning evictions for private tenants in England are still due to change on Sunday. And when we spoke about this on the programme last night, I promised at the end of the show we would talk about this again. Such was the demand. We're doing it again tonight. And we're joined for the hour by Russell Conway, Senior Solicitor at Oliver Fisher Solicitors in London, the specialists in landlord and tenant affairs. And of course, very happy to hear from landlords and landladies too. Maybe you've got the tenants from hell. Maybe you've got questions about what happens after Sunday. Feel free to pick Russell's brain too. 0345 6060 973. Graham is in Horsham. Hi Graham, what do you want to ask?
Hi, thank you. I'll try to be as brief as possible. I've lived in London probably for 4 years. 72 years. November, that's right. My landlord has given me 2 months' notice to leave because he wants to move his family back in. With that leave, or does he need to give me longer notice than 2 months?
When did he give you the notice?
First of August.
The 2-month notice is invalid. The government changed the rules on notices back in March. Any notice which you're served with has to be a 3-month notice. Now, you've got an option. You can either sit back and do nothing. If the landlord commences legal proceedings against you, you'll be able to get them struck out and get your legal costs as well, because the landlord has made a mistake. Alternatively, you could get in touch with him and say you've made a mistake, you've served the wrong notice, and he will then serve another notice. However, the fact that he wants to bring his family in may be relevant, but it may not be. And certainly, if he does serve the correct notice now, which would take us, well, certainly up to November time, if he were then to take you to court, my guess is that any court proceedings in that particular case may not be heard until Easter next year. The courts are so busy, they don't have the time or the personnel to deal with these cases. Let me ask you a few more questions about your circumstances. I expect you've got an assured short-term tenancy.
Yes.
And is there a deposit?
There was one, yes, at the beginning.
Is it protected under one of the guarantee schemes?
I believe it is, yes. It's £500, I think it's protected, yes.
I see. And do you have gas appliances in your property?
No, just electric.
And has the landlord given you an EPC certificate?
No.
Well, again, the fact that he's not given you an EPC certificate means that your notice, which he's given you, is invalid. So that gives you another defence. Now, obviously, it's an easy matter for the landlord to cure, but all of a sudden you're seeing some light at the end of this tunnel because the notice is too short. It should be 3 months, it's only 2 months. He hasn't served you with an EPC certificate, and I imagine he hasn't served you with a government leaflet renting homes, which he should have done.
No, absolutely not, no. That's right.
So that's a third reason you can defend him. But the real good news is that he hasn't even started proceedings, and he can't really start these proceedings until November. And with the Christmas break and the huge numbers of cases that will be coming before the court, your case is most unlikely to be heard until Easter. So you've got a lot of time.
All right, Graham, thank you very much. I've got a tweet here from Victor for you, Russell. Eddie, my landlord served a Section 21 in May. I'm vulnerable and was furloughed. I'm now redundant. He's come in 3 times against my strict self-isolation, entered the premises 3 times. I was due out on the 14th of August. Can he do this?
Well, 2 things. Firstly, the fact that he served you a notice does not mean you have to leave. A notice simply gives you an indication that the landlord would like you to leave. You are only obliged to leave if the landlord takes you to court and gets a court order for possession. Again, that's going to take many, many months. The landlord isn't allowed to harass you by continually coming into your home, and you should change your lock. You're allowed to change your lock. You've got exclusive use of your home, And it's wrong for the landlord to barge in, A, for COVID health reasons, but B, you're paying a rent for exclusive use of your accommodation. Under the terms of your tenancy agreement, I expect there's a provision which says the landlord has to contact you to make an appointment for access. Do not let him come in and harass you in this way.
Victor, thank you for the tweet. You can tweet at LBC and text 84850. Angela has called in. Angela, how can we help? This is Russell Fine.
Yes, hi dear. I'm the first time caller, so excuse me if I'm a little nervous. My partner and I are landlords and we rent a property. We've had a tenant in there since June last year, and in December she decided to refuse us access to the property, even though we asked 24 hours in advance that we'd like to go in and do a property inspection. And then in January she just stopped paying the rent. So we had served her the Section 8 and Section 21 eviction notice, which ran out at the beginning of July, and I'm afraid she's still there. She hasn't moved. So we've now gone on to the next stage of possession order. Now the reactivation has been requested from our solicitor. So we're just a little worried now that the COVID situation, when she's obviously been able to live there rent-free since the COVID situation has come up, and if the extension ban comes in again, then she's going to carry on living there rent-free for however many months. And she hasn't been affected by COVID. She stopped paying the rent in January. And so, as a landlord, I feel very upset that it has, there's no difference between people that have stopped paying rent because they've lost their jobs through COVID, which I have great sympathy for, and I would never, if she was in that situation, it would be a different thing.
But the problems predated COVID, and that's your issue. Yeah. All right, Russell, what do you think?
Well, you're doing the right thing. You've got a solicitor that's working for you, and you understand about reactivation notice. And your solicitor, I imagine, has served a reactivation notice on the tenant and served a reactivation notice on the court, which means that at some point in the weeks and months to come, you'll be given a court hearing. And at the court hearing, bearing in mind that she's paid no rent since January, the judge will have very little discretion to make an order for possession, and he will give you a money judgment for the arrears. Now, the money judgment for arrears, you may say, is meaningless, but increasingly these days, money judgments are important. If you've got a money judgment against your name, you can't get a mobile phone contract, you can't hire a car, you can't get a mortgage, you sometimes find it difficult renting a property because a lot of landlords do a check on money judgments. So you're going in the right direction. And I agree with you that what she's done is unfair, because back in January she wouldn't have known about COVID unless she was extremely well informed. And if she's simply taken the view that she's not paying the rent, it may rebound upon her in the future. And in due course she will get her flat back. And as I say, you will also have a money judgment against her.
Angela, thank you very much. Good luck. 0345 6060973 with the rules due to change in England this weekend when it comes to evictions from private rented accommodation. We're devoting this programme, the rest of it, to talking about something which has got people concerned and anxious from both sides, renters and landlords. Call and pick the brain of Russell Conway, who is a senior solicitor at Oliver Fisher Solicitors in London. They specialise in landlord and tenant affairs. 0345 6060973, see it till 7. Now, news at 6:30 from Bill Overton.
Arrivals to the UK from Croatia, Austria and Trinidad and Tobago from Saturday are subject to quarantine rules. Change will see Portugal go back on the UK's safe travel list. Northern Ireland's toughening lockdown rules with changes to the number of people who can meet up indoors because of rising coronavirus cases. In Scotland, the First Minister there says she can't be certain the reproduction rate of our number is below 1. And Hashim Abedi, who helped his brother carry out the Manchester Arena
But now it comes with a £400 finance deposit contribution and 2 years free servicing at 9.9% APR representative. Visit a Nissan dealership today. Available until September 30th, 2020 on vehicles up to 5 years or under 75,000 miles at participating dealers only. Excludes GTR and LCV. Nissan Finance. Visit usedcars.nissan.co.uk.
Kickoff is moments away. Your thoughts, Jermaine?
Well, Alex, the curtains are closed, club colours are on show, Coca-Cola's are poured, Steve's top looks a bit tatty. Is that gravy?
Make your home the home end and win your club's new Premier League shirt with special packs of Coca-Cola, where everyone plays.
Promotion valid 10th of August to 4th of October 2020. T's and C's apply. In store now.
This is not just beef mince. This is 100% British M&S beef mince, traceable back to every farm. 500 grams for a delicious £3. This is not just value. This is here to stay. Everyday remarkable value from M&S. Selected stores only.
Offices, restaurants, pubs. You need a sign-in app that's safe, simple and secure. You need Tap Visitor Book. 100% contactless, COVID safe, GDPR compliant and track and trace ready. All from less than £2 a day. Search Tap Visitor Book now or text radio to 86688.
Hi, I'm Jake and I'm a cleaner for TfL. We're keeping the transport network cleaner and safer than ever before by regularly spraying all our services with hospital-grade antiviral disinfectant. It kills viruses and bacteria on contact, so the network is as safe as possible for everyone. Please also remember, everyone must wear a face covering at all times, unless you're exempt. To find out more, search TfL Restart Plan. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters.
Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850. This is LBC.
Changing eviction rules for private tenants in England from Sunday. Russell Conway is with us for the hour from Oliver Fisher Solicitors. 0345 6060 973. Nikki has a question in Harrow. Hi, Nikki, what do you want to say?
Hi, Andy. Hi, Russell. Basically, my son moved into a property in October last year with his girlfriend. They paid the deposit and they paid 2 months' rent up front. They were paying the rent fine, COVID hit, and they were having difficulty. My son lost his job. So they rang the landlady, she wouldn't help them at all, and said, you know, they just have to carry on paying the rent. The month after, she then put the rent up. So my son said to her, look, you know, we really can't afford this. And she said, we'll move out. So, cut a long story short, she refused to give them their deposit. So they refused to move out. Now, the house is a part by part rent home. So they contacted the people that owned the other part of it. Obviously, I can't give any names. It's a well-known housing association. And basically, she's now done a run home. She was subletting the flat. She had another flat as well, which they've now taken off her. They've taken possession of this flat now, the housing association. My son has no one, although he's entitled to housing benefit, there's nobody that he can actually pay rent to. So he can't pay the rent. And they've just given us Section 21. And my son suffers with mental health. He's really worried. His girlfriend's in university. She's really worried. I'm really worried for them. I just want to know really why this will happen. How they get their deposit back to be able to move to somewhere else, because without it they can't move anywhere else.
Nikki, stay right there. Russell, I hear a problem like that, and I think, how on earth can you help? But I know you can.
Well, has the housing association, as it were, evicted their landlord from the property?
Well, they're trying to.
Okay, so at the moment, your son is still living in the property with his girlfriend. He's got every right to live there, and he's been, as it were, sold a book. She probably didn't have the right to sublet. Quite a lot of these type of properties have a clause within the lease saying that people cannot sublet without the permission of the housing association. So in essence, he's in quite a strong position, because although he's not getting his deposit back, perhaps he hasn't paid all the rent. correct?
Yes.
When does that expire, roughly?
Well, they got it, I think they got it 2 weeks ago.
Right, so it's not going to expire until the end of October. At that point, there will be court proceedings, but those court proceedings will not be heard until the new year, almost certainly. So your son and his girlfriend are in a very safe position. Just because they've got a Section 21 notice does not mean they have to move out. They can stay. They can stay. And they don't need to pay the rent either.
What will this do for their financial record, though?
Well, I don't think it will affect it at all, because I think they've been tricked, haven't they? The person who let them into this flat didn't have permission from her freeholder, head landlord, the housing association. She just moved them in, took their rent, had no right to do so. She's not going to be getting a money judgment against them. I don't think the head landlord will be able to get a money judgment because they've got no contractual relationship with your son. I don't think it's going to have any impact on your son's financial standing. I think he's going to, in a perverse sort of way, do quite well out of this, because he'll be able to carry on living in that property until the housing association have got an order for possession, and that's not going to be some considerable while.
Nick, I hope that helps and you can pass on that reassuring message to your son and his girlfriend. And I especially sympathise. The first flat I rented in London when I moved here some years ago was sublet. I didn't realise that, and I was chucked out after 6 months. My situation, though not nearly as dire sounding as your son's. 0345 6060 973. I mentioned right at the start of this hour about a letter sent by senior doctors and health officials worrying about an avalanche of homelessness that could drive up COVID-19 infection rates if the government doesn't extend the ban on housing evictions. Victoria Georgiou Brown is Honorary Secretary of the Royal College of General Practitioners, one of the signatories of the letter. What is your concern? Welcome to the programme.
Hello, thank you for having me. Yes, the Royal College of GPs has co-signed the letter with other medical colleges, the British Medical Association and MedAct to the Secretary of State for Housing, calling for the government to maintain the emergency ban on evictions, which actually aimed to prevent tenants losing their homes during the COVID-19 outbreak, and also to enhance its efforts to avoid homelessness during this very critical time of the pandemic by maintaining emergency funding for homelessness prevention and shelters, and also by implementing any necessary legal changes to ensure that no one who has lost income due to COVID-19 is made homeless as a result. Now, you asked, why are we calling for this? Well, from a medical perspective, we absolutely need to avoid a dramatic rise in homelessness during this time. To tackle the pandemic, it is essential to ensure that everyone has access to secure and safe accommodation where they can address their health needs, access basic hygiene measures, and self-isolate if needed. Now, people who are forced into overcrowded temporary or emergency accommodation due to eviction may lack adequate access to hygiene facilities, may find it challenging to follow social distancing guidelines, and may not be able to self-isolate. And evidence shows that the homeless population is at much higher risk of negative outcomes from COVID-19. Factors that make people experiencing homelessness especially susceptible to the coronavirus include, of course, food insecurity and lack of proper nutrition, insufficient rest, difficulty complying with social distancing guidelines, and limited access to running water needed for hand washing and hygiene. It is impossible for people who are sleeping on the streets or who are in shelters to self-isolate. It just isn't an option for them. And in addition, of course, people who are forced to leave their homes when evicted are likely to experience significant mental health stress. And we have heard from the previous speaker how stressful it can be when people are worried they may be made homeless. This can cause deterioration in their pre-existing long-term conditions, increasing their risk of complications from COVID. And also, if they are forced to relocate far from their homes and communities, they may find it really hard to access their usual GP surgeries or other health care and support services that they were receiving before, which can also put them at increased risk.
Very good to hear from you. Thank you for telling us all of that. That's Victoria Georgia O'Brien, Honorary Secretary of the Royal College of General Practitioners. If you didn't catch Ben earlier in the programme, Ben Kentish, our Westminster correspondent, there are indications the government is having a rethink on this. Rethink, U-turn, call it what you will. If you are concerned about the Sunday deadline, and Russell said don't be too concerned about anything happening on Sunday or Monday, it may be that deadline will be moved. Maybe we'll hear something tomorrow. LBC, of course, will report any developments. Here's John. I know that's not your real name, John. Tell me your situation and how can Russell Conway help?
Okay, thanks for taking the call. So basically, I got a call today from the agent that we rent the property from saying that, hello, we've had a couple of complaints, etc., etc., etc. I was like, well, what are the complaints? Loud noise till 4 o'clock in the morning. I was like, well, when is this? No, recently we got the call on Tuesday. I said, well, I didn't have any sort of get-together in my house. My neighbour was having a get-together, and we got the blame. And then when I said, we got someone came from the street behind us and said, yes, but in December, I said, yes, December, it was Christmas time, we had a bit of a gathering and there was a bit of noise, came and knocked on our door, said, we apologise, turn your music off. And then said, our neighbours complained that you've got too many cars in your driveway. So I was like, but what is it? I've got a camper van, a work van and a personal car that's parked on the grass. So he wants to keep, the landlord wants to keep the neighbours happy because they have to be friends from when he lived in the house. But he's also saying that he's happy with us because we have kept up to date with our rent throughout the whole pandemic. And but they're not going to renew our tenancy on the basis of the neighbours complaining because we've basically got too many cars on our driveway.
Do you think those complaints are fair or unfair, John?
I think they're completely unfair because we're not. It's not like we have late night parties every weekend, especially during the pandemic. We didn't have people over. We had people visit just afterwards, but that was about it.
All right, that's John's position. Russell, where are you with this?
Can you tell me, John, in your tenancy agreement, how many parking places are you given? Are you allowed to park 3 vehicles outside your premises?
It doesn't say, it doesn't limit me to how many vehicles I have, and so it's a freestanding house with a you probably fit 10 park cars in the driveway.
Well, as long as your tenancy agreement doesn't prescribe how many you can have, and as long as geographically you can get them in, it doesn't seem as though you've done anything wrong. But the problem you have, and which I suspect you're aware of, is that you almost certainly have one of these assured short-hold tenancies, which will come to an end at some point. And when the contractual tenancy comes to an end, the landlord will be able to serve you with a notice. Now, as I've said to previous callers, that notice at the moment has to be a 3-month notice. The landlord can't just ask you to leave. You have the right to stay. Even when he gives you that 3-month notice, he then can't just expect you to go. You can wait until he starts a court case. And as I've said previously, the courts are so clogged up, and there will be so many cases to be heard in this winter of discontent that we'll be facing, that you may well be able to stay until Easter next year.
John, thank you for that. 0345 6060 973. More calls right after the headlines from Bill Overton.
Croatia, Austria and Trinidad and Tobago all taken off the UK's safe travel list. Portugal's gone back on. Northern Ireland tightens lockdown rules. In Scotland fears the reproduction rate has gone above 1. And Donald Trump's former advisor Steve Bannon's charged with conspiracy to commit fraud. The weather, wind and rain moving into Scotland and the north of England overnight. Gale force winds in the west, clearer skies in the south, low 12 degrees.
LBC Travel, I'm Katie Tyler on the M25. It's struggling anti-clockwise from junction 2 for the A2 towards the Dartford Tunnel because of a breakdown, and there are queues on a North Circular westbound